Hello, everyone, and welcome to COGCAST. This is Parenting 101. In today's episode, I have two special guests, and these people are very close to my heart. And they're, I feel, the right people to talk about this topic. And they have experienced, they are part of children's ministry, they are part of youth ministry, they're part of the organization ICPF, and they have been dealing with children. They have a child of their own. So I feel they are the right people for this episode. And in this episode, we'll be going through several topics that have been brought up to us over the past few weeks and need answering. And to all the parents out there, whether you're a new parent, whether you are an old parent, whoever is listening to us, once again, welcome and tune in for all the things that we have in store for you. So as I start, before I start, I want to introduce my guests with me. It's none other than Azariya Chan and Diana Chechi. I lovingly call them that. Thank you, Acha Chechi, for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Yes. It's a privilege and honor. And from my childhood, I've looked up to both of you. So thank you for that. And so before I get into all the questions, maybe you can do a round of introductions about what you do, and you can start maybe.
Yes, sure. Yeah, my name is Azariah. Okay, work for a company called Axiom Telecom, into business expansion and those kind of things. Work with ICPF also, whatever within capacity we do. Go to Sharon Church. There also I lead the worship. Church, whatever is possible, I do there. Yeah, that's the thing. My wife, Merin, Jeremiel, son. Yeah.
So my name is Merin, and unofficially Diana. So I'm working with the hospital. It's called Rashid Hospital, one of the government hospitals here. And I have been here since a long time. I have been involved with ICPF also, with the youth ministry. And we've also had a bunch of Sunday school ministries and Sharon Fellowship Ministries. Apart from that, we have like a society and community where we have youngsters, and even in our own organizations, we have kids, and we have to deal with a lot of youngsters, adolescents, teenage. So we have, pretty by and close, a little bit of experience in handling such kind of age groups.
Awesome. I'm glad to have, this is something new. So I'm glad to have both of you. So in this conversation, I want to encourage some of those parents out there who are dealing with children on a day-to-day basis, especially growing up in UAE. It's a different environment than from our home country. Our children are inside four walls. The only thing that they are exposed to is either they come back from there, go to tuitions, or go to church and then back, right? There's nothing else that they're involved with. And at early stages of parenting itself, there are certain foundations that as parents that we need to entrust into our children. And growing up in a spiritual background, in a spiritual home, it sets a lot of expectations for parents as well to achieve. Like our child should be as spiritual as the other child, or maybe not in levels, but at least the expectation of raising up a godly child in the home. And raising up a child in a godly manner is the best blessing any parent can ever have. And what do you feel are some of those foundations that we can lay in our children at an early stage? There are different stages, of course, but then what do you feel are those foundations?
Wonderful. Thanks, Alan. Before we start, a quick disclaimer. We have not, we both, as parents, we have not reached the epitome of so-called parenting. It's just 12, 13 years of experience. So whatever I think practically we have learned, I think definitely we'll share and hope it's a blessing for us. So coming back to your question, look at any building, okay? The 20 to 30% of the building you can't see. It's beneath the earth. You don't see it. It takes a long time to build that foundation. On top of it, the building stands, right? Similarly, when it comes to parenting also, you don't see the results immediately, okay? It's a very slow investments, but it's a very sure. That's what it makes it's challenging, at the same time beautiful, right? Because you don't see immediate results. So that's why we require a lot of conscious parenting, wherein any engagement that you do with them, any talks, or the way you lead them, you should, back of the mind, you need to know that this has future consequences. This has future implications, right? Once you do anything and everything with that lens, you see greater results. So this has been one of the fundamentals that we both have kept close, that anything and everything that we do has future consequences. That is one thing. Second aspect of a good parenting is you should be a good individual, right? They hardly listen to what you say, but they absorb everything that you do subconsciously.
Through their eyes.
Exactly. That's the biggest communication that you need to be conscious about it. If you're not conscious about it, that you will end up in front of them as a hypocrite.
Yeah. Two faces.
Two faces, yes. Okay, my dad has one face here, my dad has other face there. That's a dangerous place to be. So that's why at early age itself, at an early stage of your family life itself, you need to have this thing embedded deep within you, that all this has future consequences, because they're observing you left and right. They are observing the way you handle things at home, the way you're handling finance, the way you're handling your neighbors, the way you are talking to your colleagues, the way you are interacting with your opposite sex. All this they are observing you, okay, and they are feeding this. What you are in-house should be the same outside. If they can sincerely tell this, okay, my dad or my mom is saying what I see at home is the same outside, I think you've done a good job in parenting. Okay, so these two things are, I think, very, very critical.
Yep. So I think, Yacha, what you said about setting an example.
Yes.
Is the most priority
Top
for a parent.
Absolutely.
And it comes with a certain expectations, yeah? Like I spoke earlier, whenever you have a child who is like misbehaving, for example, in church or anywhere, all of them turn around and look at the child and be like, oh, even so directly it goes off to the parent. But I feel like parents are doing their part. For example, they're doing their part. We are not responsible for our children's actions, but we are responsible for how we respond to them.
True.
Even though they do something mischievous, how we respond, how we create an environment for them to come back and be like, Papa, Daddy, I feel like I messed up. So if a child comes back and says that means the environment that you've created for him is the right place. Cheji, what do you feel like?
Yes, true. I completely agree. And when we spoke about creating the environment, see, home should be the safe place for a child. Rather than going to friends or college or colleagues, they should come and verbalize to you, because it's a practice. It's like we just mentioned, conscious parenting takes time, it takes interest, it takes energy. We have to be conscious about parenting. So the moment you do a conscious parenting, you start, because none of us are born as parents. We learn this over the process. You have to start inculcating this culture at home. So at home, what we have, one practical thing is evenings, or when we come back from home, we ask each other, how was your day? And then we sit together and discuss our days. So we know all the petty talks that has happened. We know all the good things that has happened. We also discuss our mistakes that has happened. So as an adult, if I can openly share what my mistake is and how I overcame it, or what did I do as a response to it, he would feel free, or my child would feel free to open and communicate that. Okay, so it's okay to do a mistake, because there is a way out.
We are also humans.
Exactly. If my parents can do it, okay, then they always look at, what just now my husband mentioned. They will look at what you did for the mistake. Did you go and apologize? Did you go and sort it out? Or are you still happy with the mistake that you made? So that also, what you have done as a part of that mistake should also come out in front of the child. And
sorry. And that's something which I want to touch base is, like, Jammu is aware of who all our colleagues, what happened to the last problem. Many times I hear, what happened to that particular thing? Okay, how did you solve it? So when we come and share real world problems that we face, he's aware of even the employee's name. Okay, how did he spoke to you today? How did you? So all those conversations helps him. So we are not teaching him step by step, but he is learning through our life lessons. Okay, the last time when this problem happened, mom spoke like this, and the problem was solved. Dad spoke like this. I think that employee issue was resolved. Maybe he may not add super high IQ based solutions, but he's learning from those experiences.
Yes. And important thing is, when you do this, when you have your talks, you are communicating to your child. This is the most important foundation that we can lay as a parent, communication. Because what is missing is, we know that our culture here, we know the society pressure. Both parents are working, we come back, we cook, we eat, we sleep. The time for that communication, because that is the time where you create a bond, where you set expectations, where you identify what is good, what is bad. So that is core. Communication is the core. You tell the child, okay, 1, 2, 3. You communicate with the child, so he knows you're interested. You're there as a parent for him.
There are 3 phases of communication. In the sense, not phases exactly. There are 3 ways which we can effectively communicate. One, being a good listener as a parent. Not just cutting off them in between or assuming what they're going to say before they say it, judging them already even before they finish the whole sentence. So keeping an open mind and listening to them at first itself makes a huge difference. Second thing that I feel is like emotional availability. So being vulnerable around them, like you said, JJ, like the struggles that you go through when you share with them, they feel like, okay, it's a safe space to share my stuff as well. They might be going through something different. It might be very minute in our eyes, but for them, that's a big deal, right? They're dealing with it on their face, and they've never experienced this before. We have life experiences which have taught us that, but for them, that's new. So keeping that emotional vulnerability around them to understand our expression, if we can give them, I feel it make a big difference. Absolutely. So the fact that when most of the parents, what they do is they say that they're listening to their child, but they might be listening to them, but they're not physically there with them. So when the child says something, okay, something. So, but your body language, if it shows the interest to maybe the hand on the back or something, that gesture itself shows that you're there with them at that conversation at the point. It might be very small. Mummy and a friend and a pencil odichu. It might be something small. It might be very minute, but then you being there at that point of time and listening to that conversation and making sure that your non-verbal acts also act with it. So I feel like these 3 things make a huge difference in the communication itself.
Very true. Yes. I just want to add this last camp that we had with the youngsters. Many of their feedback was, this Achachan was there to hug me. This Chechi was there to hug me. It was so safe. It felt so secure. That one simple hug to the child or to that youngster, made a big difference in that child's life. So that is a key factor.
So growing up in an Indian culture, Malayali home, the one thing that I think our parents or their parents lacked was the physical touch aspect of it.
As earlier we said, when we have both of us working, okay, we come home with our own problems in office, in general, wherever things, and then we have somebody at home who wants to share unburden his share of thoughts with us. So sometimes, definitely, we accept that sometimes it's very challenging. But once again, coming back to the same problem, once you are conscious that this has relevance to the future, that idea will allow you to work hard and, okay, let my problem stay back and let me spend some time, and that thing will come in. Even, see, look at, God created the family in such a way that, see, for me, the biggest relief is when I come back home and I have a cup of tea made by my son. Okay, he makes a good tea. Okay, so he
thought
brings.
You say made by your wife.
He makes. So sitting with them, that half an hour, 1 hour is a big relaxing time for me, because God has created the system in such a way that you ease off. Okay, so that is how it. But at the same time, during that conversation, when you're building that conversation, you listen to him also. Okay, sometimes yes, you become a little bit impatient, but when you do that consciously, that's the key thing, it will go a long way. So as you said, we learned a lot of parenting skills from our parents. We've been very blessed to be born in Christ-centered family, where they perfect in everything may not be, but then the values that they brought in was powerful, that stayed with us. So that's why parenting is not for your generation. It goes to 3 or 4 generations, because you're transferring. It's a part of inheritance that you give out.
Absolutely.
So that respect and honor for our parents, what they gave us, is powerful. Okay, even though they struggled a lot to bring us to this point, many times, yes, they heard us sometimes. Okay, they couldn't, but we evaluate that and bring in our parenting style. And yes, sometimes you lose your cool. And, there are instances which has happened, but go back and reflect.
Can
from
you share one instance?
I think the latest one was morning. He missing his school bus, which really, because for morning hours is very, very, very precious for me. But I really don't want
Anything to go
off. Yes. So some disciplinary thing. Then I had to shout to him in front of the crowd in the road. So then I felt bad about it. Okay. Then I, within that same time, we discussed quickly, and he understood where the thing was. So next day onwards, things started
It's just
getting
that coming
better.
back to...
Coming back so that he also should understand where things went wrong. Because he's also growing, he's also learning things. And I think the idea of coming back and reflecting upon is the most important thing. He should know why that environment of joy and happiness was distorted. What was his contribution there? So once he's aware of it, so every time when you correct or you get angry, the other person or the son or your daughter should know why that happened. If they have a valid reason, okay, this has happened, okay, they also have an opportunity to correct themselves.
So reflecting back to the same thing, JJ, I think that those push button moments where they push you too far and you somehow burst into flames or whatever at that point of time. How do you think a parent can handle that situation when they push you to an extent where you have to come out angry? How do you feel like you can manage that?
So, managing anger is a very big issue, is a very big task actually, especially when it comes to kids, because it hurts them, affects them, and it affects it affects the family environment. What is the type of parent that we are is mostly contributed by the type of parents we had. Mostly if you see down the line, okay, if your parents were having anger issues, they used to come and beat you for everything. Like, I just want to share, my cousin, he told me, every time Papa will come beat me with a stick in the morning, evening after work, he'll get me parota. So till now, he doesn't know the reason why the Papa was beating him with the stick. But he was enjoying the parota. So the thing is here that yes, you can get, if you had parents, or if suppose you have seen an environment of anger around you, it's your time to change. You cannot create the same environment for your kids. You cannot be angry at small things, or just tottenum pidichenum okke anger nu varaythile. So you cannot have that at home, because times have changed. Kids are exposed to a lot of things. Kids know how to what the society is going through, what the other family is going through. There are a lot of media that is, they are much aware about family and society than us. So if we have anger through and through, we have to change. I was a very angry person, and by God's grace, by self training, it has come down a lot, because I used to get angry, break a glass, get angry, okay, don't do your homework, get angry. But I understood that has serious consequences. I shouldn't. I have to change first. I have to control my anger, get angry at the right things. Even the Bible supports it. It says, train your child in the way he should go. Those who love the rod loves their children. So God disciplines those he loves. So discipline is a must. And anger is different. Discipline is different. Anger is different. We had this amazing pastor who stayed with us when I was pregnant with the child. So that we were just new parents. I mean, going to be parents. So he taught us a concept of love chair. His name is Pastor Thomas P. Thomas. He is in Bangalore. And that was a very beautiful concept. Actually, we adopted that from him. And I'd shared that. So it's called love chair. So when you see something is wrong and you're really angry and you're very, very superiorly, you want to take a stick and whack him. Okay. So what you do is, first you go yourself, go and sit in that chair, relax, think that it is a love chair. Okay. And think, leave that situation. Don't take a stick and beat. he also told us, keep all the sticks hiding. Keep one stick, but keep it hiding so that you don't reach it whenever you're angry. So keep it hiding. Go to that chair, take 10 minutes, take half an hour, and believe me, in half an hour, your anger will come down. So if you're super angry, go sit somewhere, go drink a glass of water. Your anger will come down. Don't hit a child to release your anger. Hit a child to make him understand what happened, what went wrong. I wouldn't even say hit a child. You shouldn't. Actually, we don't have to hit children, but we know that the buddy is our best friend. So he told us then, when the child sits, then make the child sit on the chair. Make him this why it happened. Make him understand why, not the what. Don't focus on the what. Okay, what it has happened. Glass is broken, books are torn, whatever. Okay, you fought with the kids, failed in the exam. It has happened. Why it happened? How can it be better? Okay, that type of training works better on children.
Just to add on to it, what Diana said, the initial days, we all are learning. That's the most important thing. You don't become perfect parent in one day. You do a lot of mistakes. Initially, yes, we were getting... But again, you go back and reflect. You go with an intention that you should improve over the period of time. That brings the change. Rather than ignorance is the biggest price that you pay. Things will happen the way... No, that ignorance, we need to move it away from your life. Because we all have last 12 years, we've been parents. So when you reflect back, things have improved. Was it the first 5 years was havoc? But then the next 5 years, things improved. The next 5 years, I need to make sure that I reach the next. So that thing is very, very important.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, Acharya, for sharing that. Going to a bigger picture, So as children growing up, especially in UAE, during the COVID phase, I feel like all the churches were shut down. Everybody was at their home in their comfort zone. And during that phase, something really bad happened. Children lost interest in coming to a church. And this is a fact that we've been tackling with students, with parents. All of these parents are struggling to bring their kids back in. And during that phase, children went through something, some sort of a withdrawal. How do you feel like you can speak to those parents who are dealing with children who have a thing against going back to church? They might have hundreds of explanations of why they don't want to go, but why we should encourage them, or how can we encourage them to be part of a community or a church, and the essential part of being a church, the fellowship of it all. How can we encourage the children and the parent?
Okay. See, I'll add on to it. Maybe you can add on later. See, the two things what comes to my mind is, one is, whenever you see some kind of aversion from children, okay, take it as an opportunity to understand what went wrong, why it is so. Especially in our setup, results make a lot of difference. Okay, when kids are showing aversion, that means they take it as less significant because it's not adding much value in their life. So that is the problem that you need to tackle. One thing could be, take them as active members. Okay, how can they contribute? They should have a significant role in these setups, okay, where their consideration, their feedbacks, or they should feel that they are counted. Okay, so പലപ്പോഴും ആ ഒരു contribution efforts വരാതിരിക്കുന്നതാണ് many a times that I feel. And second thing, they see that what result is this entire thing producing. Sometimes we fail there also, that we are going to church, we are doing a lot of things, but at the end of the day, our life is not producing a result. So they are very rational because they have many other things to look around, which gives them instant results. Okay, there are other practices, could be other faith that is giving them your instant gratification, but which they don't see here. So that brings kind of aversion. So the best strategy would be to keep them engaged right from the beginning. Let them be an active contributor in the church. They are not like the second-class citizen or third-class citizen. They are the number ones. They are the one who will be taking the torch, future one. So they should have an active role in, even if it's a 1 hour service or a 2 hour service, some significant role somewhere. So I feel once they feel that they are contributing, they engage actively. So otherwise, their focus and energy somebody else will take. So it's like if we don't plan for them, somebody will plan for them.
Parents have huge expectations from Sunday school, scripture school. Yeah. Your child spends 5 hours in a month in a Sunday school, but spends almost 6 hours a day with you.
True.
So who do you think should invest more into
True,
them?
true.
So it's the parents, right?
True.
So they come back to the Sunday school teacher and be like, "Ende moan idu cheyidilla, padikkunnilla, they are not close to the word. What are you doing?" But it's honestly speaking, they just get that 5 hours in a month.
Yes.
So I feel like parents have to fill that gap
Yes.
to train that child with the word, spend time with them, to engage them. Like all the video games is instant, yeah? So because if they're playing a warfare game, instant kill, instant win, instant gratification, instant reward.
Exactly.
Bible is a diet. Yeah, so which is why kids kind of pull away from it.
Yes.
So, but in order to get them into the diet, you need to show that you are also in the diet and how it benefits you as well. So that training, like you said, that our process of training needs to go through from a very young age.
Yes.
So once they are old,
Yeah.
they will not depart from it. That's what the word says, right? So bringing me to another aspect of having children and leading them. So we have come to an age and era where parents without children is a trend. Yeah, we get married, but we don't have kids. What do you feel? What do you think about this topic?
First of all, this is God's plan in the Garden of Eden. Started with a family. His first, he planted a family first. He planted Adam and Eve family. He said, flourish, multiply, take care of the garden. So this is God's plan. So if there is a family, there has to be flourishing. There has to be multiplication. So right from the beginning, that is what we see. Unless there is, okay, you have a family, biologically, there are reasons that you cannot conceive. Okay, that is completely up to God. That is God's plan for you. But if intentionally a family does not want to conceive, I think that is, for me personally, I think that is against biblical principles. We should not, because God has set standards and we cannot deviate from those standards. So if we are godly children, we need to understand. Otherwise, we should take the Pauline teachings and not marry and, go in that way. Dedicate yourself to God. And there are people who do that.
There's the verse in Malachi chapter 2, verse 15. I'll just read it out to you.
Sure.
Didn't the Lord make you one with your wife? In body and spirit, you are His. And what does He want? Godly children from your union.
Wow.
So guard your heart, remain loyal to your wife of your youth.
Wow.
So it directly says that God's expectation is simple. You getting married?
Yes.
Bring out godly children.
Yes.
Yeah? This is something that we heard from our pastor the other day over a function. And raising up godly children is a blessing. It's a blessing in disguise, because it's something that God has gifted you with as parents. So during my first episode, I say this to everybody. I asked the people who are there sitting, asked them, and their response was, our children are our mission field.
Correct.
Yeah. So you talk about going and preaching the gospel to the world. Well and good, do that. But if your child is not in Christ, whatever you're doing outside the house is a waste.
No, I'll definitely add on to it. Even I personally say your ministry starts at home, right? Your kids or your inner circle should testify you. Second, your neighbors should testify you. Third, your colleagues should testify you. Because these are the three places where you are not dealing with a personality, you're dealing with a character, right? They are coming one-on-one with a character. And that is where they should see Christ-likeness in you, okay? Rather than going to the ends of the world. It's a good thing to have, but then make sure that these three areas are fixed, then you move out. So that's a very important aspect, I think. Yes, absolutely.
Chechi, you want to add?
I just want to say that the joy of having a child is different. Like you come stressed and then you have a child. It relieves your stress. Yeah.
Who makes you tea?
Yeah. Who makes you tea, especially? Yes, that's a added bonus. And I made sure that I teach him how to make tea.
She took credit for that too.
I want to.
Yeah.
That's one thing he does very
So
well.
yes, so you ask any parent what is their biggest stress relief is going home back to their children, seeing them smile, seeing them do their work, be it toddler, be it adolescent, be it big children. We have joy and pride in them at whatever they are, whoever they are. That joy would never depart. So it is so godly and it is so fulfilling to have children. Unless also I want to stress that if it is God's plan for you not to have children due to biological reason, it's okay, because God has bigger and something higher for you. That's a different God's plan, and He knows that you can bear and sustain it. But if He has blessed you with a family, make sure that you intentionally as a human being don't take any step to stop that God's purpose in life.
Yeah. So I feel like the biggest fellowship starts at home. Yeah. The fact that you go through all the things that you have at work in the morning, and to have a home to come back to is a blessing from God indeed. Thank you, Acharya Cheji, for spending this much time with us to talk. Maybe a final word that you would love to give as an encouragement to all the parents out there. They're dealing with so much. They're dealing with their work problems. They're dealing with the children who are difficult at some times, but at the same time, they want to nurture a family together in Christ. What would both of your advices be?
See, first of all, be very true to yourself. Okay, that's very, very important. Have this habit of retrospecting. Ignorance is, as I said, if you go with an attitude of ignorance, okay, chalega, it's fine. That you may need to pay price later on, because parenting, as I said, is a long-term investment. You don't get instant results. If tomorrow you want coconut chutney, today you go and plant a coconut, and tomorrow doesn't work like that. So every investment has to be a conscious investment, because it will take decades for you
To see the results.
see the results. I just want to bring one practice that I do with Jemu is, like, now he is 12 years old. 2 days back, it was his birthday. So what we do is, like, we have this called life chart. Okay, we interact with him. I have drawn 10 lines. 10 lines denotes 10 years. 10 into 10 years. Let's assume that you will live for 100 years with all of this things going. Let's assume a hypothetical 10 years. So every 10 years, I show him, because where you are now, for example, he is in the second phase now. The first 10 year is gone. Second 10 year, she's in the third line. I'm in the fourth line. So when you can compress your life in a small frame, you can see the movement. Then time becomes very essential for you. Slowly you feel, I don't have much time left. So this ability to converge thing into a one frame and show it to him. Then we take it. Okay, this is your second 10 years. What are the changes that you will go through? First was your formative years. Now you're becoming a teen. Then you will become a man. Then, so once you take him through, he knows what to expect now.
True.
So that's very, very important. Giving them a holistic picture why we are doing this.
The bigger picture, yes.
Exactly. So that bigger picture it will help them a lot. Yeah, sure.
What I would want to say is always remember that you're not a perfect parent. No one can be a perfect parent. Jesus himself had Mary and Joseph, yet he was completely submissive to those parents. So as children, it is important for children to be submissive. And as parents, we do have authority. Like the other day, I was listening to one of the preachers. He said, you have authority, the same authority that Jesus had on you. But Jesus selected to wash the feet. That is the authority that he displayed. So we being parents, we know we have authority over the kids, but make sure that it is used wisely. Don't take a stick and whack them always. Don't be angry always. Don't be irrational with them. Involve them in your daily decisions. Which clothes should I wear? Which shop? What to eat? Do you have any preferences? Involve them so that they feel important. That's the way that, they feel the part of a family. Otherwise, for husband and wife taking the decisions, kids taking their own decisions does not work. Involve them. And always have a family routine of at least spending 15-20 minutes talking to each other, because now we know phone and all that social media is taking all the time, and office work. Don't bring office home. One message, please don't bring office home. Let the office stay there. Let the office work stay there. Home is a place for your family. It's your second ministry. So your wife, your kids, your husband, they need you. So whatever the work and whatever hectic life you had, leave it back, come home, relax, give your full self. When you're with them, give your full self to them. And whatever you do, sometimes there it might not work. Sometimes, the devil strategy might win, whatever you do. So parents should not take the blame on themselves, because many parents resign, they go back and they say, okay, maybe something in our parenting has gone wrong. But always remember, if you are right with God, set your standards right with God, be true to yourself, be true with God, show that relation to your child so he would follow it. Sometimes there are chances the enemy might take the child away. Don't worry, as a parent, don't regret. Yes, pray, go conquer the child, pray over it, but don't be in that shell and go into depression. Don't take the blame on yourself. As a parent, be positive, be confident. God has given you blessed children to nurture, to bring them up in Christian values, in godly values. Use that time, use that as a mission field, as you mentioned, And I wanted to add, that non-verbal communication, the touch, the feel, the hugs, those are very important, especially now. If we don't give them, they will look for it in other places. Yeah. So we have to make sure that we show them. Many a times we have heard our parents, my father was in military, he has never smiled, he has never touched me, never hugged me. That should not be repeated in our families. There are 3 important times when you need to touch: before bed, while getting up, while coming back after a long gap. So suppose he comes back from school, or when he gets up, or when you're before going to bed, make sure you touch your child, hug your child, kiss him. Even if he's a teenager or an adolescent, he might feel shy, but it's okay. At least give a good proper handshake, give a good hug. When he does something good, appreciate, show your love, genuine love, show it, because they need to see it. Not only, okay, you have it in your heart, but they need to see it. Do the right choices, I'd say, okay, you cannot be a right parent, but try to improve. Conscious parenting is very important. Otherwise, we are giving an open platform for the devil to work. So be a conscious parent. There are so many books and vital resources available. Refer them. We don't know the milestones. What is a 13-year-old doing, 14? Go and refer such books. Listen to neuroscientists, listen to parent experts. Those will help you. We practically have each year book, say 1 year, what to do, 2nd year, 3rd year, 4th year. Yes, that will help us, because we are naive in those things. We are not the experts. Listen to the experts, take help. So in that way,
education is important. You need to educate yourself, both spiritually and from a science perspective also. Yes, you need to educate yourself. Make sure that, because as long as you have this life goals, like if this is where you want to arrive, you will be doing consciously things. That is the most important thing. We all, none of us are perfect. So we do mistakes and then reflect back. That's the key. Go back and reflect how I could have done it better.
This is what we just discussed in the car. That parenting starts before you actually get married. This is what he's saying, that I will start with this note because this is so important.
But I forgot. But I think good that you only brought it.
And yes, that's what. So as once you get married, okay, that is a time that you start creating that parenting atmosphere. You respect each other, love each other. Never in front of your kids talk bad about your spouse. Whatever it is, never talk bad about your spouse, because the same respect he or she will give to your spouse. So if you want them to respect you, you start respecting yourself and your spouse, because kids will see that 100%. Don't say, oh, papa so careless. Don't say your wife is such a misbehaved. Don't ever say that.
For that, your selection has to be best.
Yes, coming back to selection.
Yes.
Have a godly selection first.
Yes, absolutely. Finally, thank you, Azariya, for being here, spending this time with us. I think it's put a lot of perspective into parents, for sure. And to all the parents out there who are listening to us, your prayers are never in vain.
Yes.
God's promises are yes and amen. And no matter whatever you're going through right now you might be having a difficult time in a difficult scenario with your child or your children. But if God has a plan for you and your family, God will bring them back at the right time. But don't stop praying. Don't stop getting down on your knees. Your tears are not in vain, and God will work tremendously in the coming days. Thank you so much once again. Thank you all for tuning in for this episode. Until we have the next one, I believe these capsules that we have received today will be a blessing in your life. Stay tuned for more. Thank you for joining in. God bless you all.